Alright guys, welcome to the video today. So in this video I wanted to talk about a few issues involving Destiny as a competitive game, and we really have moved forward a lot. We've experimented with objective game modes, we've experimented with 4v4 in comparison to either 3v3 or 6v6, and 4v4 seems to be like the general standard competitive format, and I don't know whether or not it's meant for Destiny and whether Destiny would be better off with 4v4, 6v6, or 3v3. But as far as what I'm stating in this video, this is just the facts and why it's going to have a lot of trouble going competitive in Destiny 1, but I do think, depending on some changes that are going to potentially be made by Bungie, why it could go competitive in Destiny 2. So more recently, we've been experimenting with 4v4. We've been playing a rotation of Clash, Supremacy, and Zone Control. And Zone Control is like the one true pure objective game mode we're playing with. But the problem is that right now we have private matches, but we don't have custom games. And I kind of thought about this and I was confused about it for a few minutes right when I heard about the whole concept. But I was wondering what's the difference between the two. If you look at custom matches in Black Ops 1 or Black Ops 2, any Call of Duty game, if you look at custom matches, you can tweak and adjust every little thing, spawn timers, total health. I believe even movement speed was one in Black Ops 1, but you have a lot of different options, and competitive tournament organizers and all that, they take full advantage of that to ensure that the game being played is as balanced, and they shape it how they want it and how they see fit. But with Destiny, you don't really have a lot of adjustment. You have time of day, total time, and score limit, but that's basically it. And the one true objective game mode that we're playing right now in 4v4 is Zone Control, and that game mode happens to be the one with 0 spawn delay. So as soon as you die, you can spawn right back up. So as you can imagine, with Destiny's maps, generally there's a lot of maps that are pretty one-sided, and whatever team kind of spawns on one certain side, chances are that they're going to have a better advantage at getting B for that first initial push. And that's kind of what happens. You see one team that grabs B at the very beginning, and then unless two teams are super equally matched, or maybe the first team that gets the cap is just overall a weaker team than the team that doesn't get that cap first and they end up losing it, generally you see the B flag staying with them for almost the entirety of the game. And you see a lot of effort of swapping base flags and stuff, but it's very, very difficult to lose a flag when for example, if I'm on the team that has B and we have a Voidwalker, a Striker, and a Blade Dancer, right? So we have Axion bolts, we have skip grenades, and we have a lightning grenade, and assuming we're all running tier 5 discipline, we are regenerating those grenades in 25 to 30 seconds, and every 30 seconds all we have to do is just throw one on B, and chances are if it picks off one person, great. If it doesn't, it's generally at least doing around half of the health of that person, and it's very easy to keep them off B if you can just spawn up, throw a grenade that tracks them and does half their health. And if you regenerate this grenade every 30 seconds, it becomes very hard to take away a base flag. The overall format of Destiny makes it really hard to have any changes to this, because in Call of Duty or whatever other game you have, it's very easy to just select a few things, everything's pre-made, you make your own classes, that's kind of it. But with Destiny, it's like a shoot and loot sci-fi shooter where you're constantly collecting things with different armor stats like intellect, discipline, strength, and it's hard to put a limit on what exactly you can run. And you can't, as of right now, you can't just assign, alright, everyone gets tier 2 everything, or everyone gets tier 3 everything, and so on and so forth. It's very hard to manage in that sense, but overall, I feel like in the future, if we're leaning towards a more quote-unquote competitive game, moving away from abilities that regenerate every 25 to 30 seconds, is probably going to be a step in the right direction. You're probably going to see a lot more pure primary fights where people aren't throwing grenades at the very start of the engagement. I believe Zone Control is probably going to work out a lot better if you can have spawn manipulation, so you don't spawn up instantly. Having a 3 to 4 second delay, anything between 2 and 4 seconds I think would be good. And then on top of that, making it so people are running tier 2 or tier 3 discipline or strength or intellect or whatever. You're going to see a lot less orb farming. I do think orbs of light are a bit of an issue as well, because if you look at some teams, it is technically a strategy. And some teams, they choose to farm orbs and all that. But I think eliminating orbs of light, or kind of putting a limit or a cap on how often you can regenerate grenades, and then even on top of that, for me, the ideal grenade, and at least in my opinion, the grenades that take the most skill and placing to use are incendiary nades, flashbang nades, and suppressor nades. I think it would be super cool to run a rotation or a setup where you're only using those nades, but at the same time, like for a Voidwalker, you're not really going to have anything to use, so putting limits on that can be a little bit tricky. The next and final issue right now is that we are running at 30 frames per second with a 10 tick rate, and for me personally, I feel like this is the biggest one, especially now with us moving kind of away from sniping, and now that everyone's kind of transitioning into 4v4, you see a lot of shotgun, you see a lot of legendary hand cannons, or even if you don't see that, you see a lot of pulse rifles. So the biggest thing is we're running at 30 frames per second with a 10 hertz tick rate right now. And essentially what that means is your screen is updating 30 times every single second. Games like Overwatch or Battlefield generally run at around 60 on console, and then they push up into like the 120s, 140s on PCs. So that's just the frame rate, right? It's how many frames you're seeing on your screen per second. So that's why if you play Call of Duty and then you run back to Destiny, it will look very choppy at first. But the biggest one is tick rate. So it is updated. Basically, their servers are updating what is happening 10 times every single second. And Overwatch right now, which is considered one of the worst tick rates in competitive on PC, and it's been like people have been complaining about it forever, or they complained about it forever, is that they have a 20 tick rate. And if that is considered horrible, how bad is 30 frames per second with a 10 tick rate on top? So games like CSGO, which are considered probably the highest tier of competitive first-person shooters, are running around a 60 hertz tick rate. So it's updating 60 times every second, and generally if that was implemented in a 60 frames per second game, that is perfectly in line with the frames per second you have. But for Destiny, you have a frame rate that's sliced in half of a lot of competitive titles, and then on top of that, you have a tick rate that is sliced in third of the already horrible frame rate. These two reasons are the main cause of so many apparent trades where you shot the person with a shotgun or a primary, or maybe even meleeed them, and you thought you hit them, and you thought you killed them like a second before they killed you, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they just like dribble out a little melee or a little shotgun shot, and it's very frustrating, and especially like high level play. And if you go into areas where we're playing against people from like Europe, you're going to see a lot of issues with shot registration. You see a lot of issues where you thought you shotgunned one person way before they shotgunned you, and somehow you end up trading. Or there's also an issue where it'll actually consume your shotgun bullet, and it'll let you shoot after you're actually dead. So like when people say, oh, my shotgun just blanked, like it did 0 damage, and they're going for a trade, that's because you're actually already dead, but the server, I believe it's that the server didn't update. Basically, it's displaying to you that you're alive for a split second when in fact you're actually dead. So your shotgun bullet comes out, and you can see like whatever elements it is hitting their chest, and you see like purple or blue or whatever, but there's no actual damage coming out. So obviously that's a big issue, but Destiny's competitive scene is growing very slowly, but I think like right now we kind of have a base, like good community and good fan base for it. But I think moving into Destiny 2, if we saw some of these improvements, it would mean very big things for Destiny competitive. That's it for the video today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I also made a second channel for where I will be uploading just stuff about me. Battlefield gameplays, Overwatch gameplays, and we'll be playing games other than Destiny on that channel. So if you only love Destiny, then don't subscribe to it, but if you're interested to see what games I'm playing and what games I'm enjoying, then go ahead and check on that channel. It'll be linked in the description, and there will be an annotation on the screen. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. Peace.